And before there, we hope to see an expert. Today is not different. We have two experts that's going to be leading discussions on this topic, and by the time we go through the resume, believe me that they are really experts in the field. We have Tolulope Agiri, Mrs. She is the current HR director for Unilever, Nigeria. She has more than 20 years of work experience within HR. Started working with CIPM many years back. Did so many roles before she joined Unilever. And after Unilever, she did several roles within the Africa region and the Middle East before her current appointment as the HR director for Tolulope, shortly called Tolu. Together with her, we have Tominiyi Oni. He is the HR director for Friesland Wamco PLC. Do we know that? Now, he also has more than 20 years of work experience within the HR business. So you'll agree that he's also an expert, isn't he? Started with a consulting firm before he joined Shell Petroleum, worked in Nigeria, in the Netherlands, played several roles before he finally joined Friesland and Pina, and has been appointed as the HR director for the past maybe 3 to 4 years. So let's welcome them, please. Briefly about myself, my name is Mohammed Umar. I work for ExxonMobil. I'm located in Akwa Ibom, in the operational area. I lead a team of 4 HR persons providing service to the business line in our operational area. So this is a very interesting topic from because I believe I'm going to learn a lot from all of you and the experts as well. The focus is not going to be about presentations, but we expect to have lots of questions from you. So of course we'll have some presentations just to set the context and provide some clarification on what the whole concept is all about. At some stage, we will be posing to take questions from you. Really, the objective is we want to hear some of the practical challenges you have in doing your day-to-day work, and bring forward those questions and ask the experts. That's why they're here. We have an hour and a half to do this business. Now, before we get started, let's agree on some ground rules. All phones on silent.
I'm sure we all have organizations, we all know organizations that don't have any HR. Yes or no? In Nigeria especially, you just hire somebody to produce, hire somebody to sell HR. Don't worry, MD will hire and fire as a light. So the main reason that we are hired actually is to support the business. And the day you move away from that, actually, you have made yourself irrelevant. You shouldn't even have a job anymore. And I want us to have that at the back of our minds as we kick off. Thank you, sir.
Play a little game. Unfortunately, we don't have chocolates to help us do that, but I'm just giving you notice so that you can pay attention. Yes, please. Is this working or not? It's working. Where should I point it to? Thank you. So just in terms of an outline, this is what we want to do today. Like has been said, it's very critical that we need enough time for interaction and questions. So maybe at some point, if we see that we're behind time, we may actually have to skip a few things. Yes, please go. Okay, so in terms of the context, yes, please, go. So I think the big thing to mention is the fact that the world is changing and therefore we must do what? We all use the term, change is the only what? It's the only constant thing. So for those of us that had HR jobs 20 years ago, and in your mind you're saying, gone are the good old days, sorry they are not coming back. Because actually the business you're supporting has moved on. The world is changing, people we're supporting are changing, and therefore HR itself must change. And you can actually just run your eyes over a lot of things there. I tell you this, for those of us that have worked for long, in those 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, if you had checked the average age of people working in your organization and you check it today, I'm sure it will be different. Again, about 10 years ago, if you had mentioned the bit about, I want to work anywhere, what do you think people would tell you? What are people likely to tell you? What's your employer likely to tell you? Or likely to have told you then, 10 years ago, I want to be able to work anywhere. What would you have heard? You lack focus, exactly. You lack focus, you lack commitment, or go and work elsewhere. Are we hearing it today? And is it happening? It's actually happening in Nigeria, you know. People do agile working, you can work from home, you can work from the beach, you can work from anywhere as long as you're returning the result that you're asked to. So the truth is, the world is moving, and therefore we must move with the world, yes. And if you were then asked to summarize this thing about Nigeria, what does FUCA mean? FUCA. Yes. The thing about corrupt answers is you can hide. So again, what does FUCA mean? Absolutely. And Nigeria, usually when I have to make a presentation to global leaders that have come to visit the company in Nigeria, it's always good to be able to tell them, FUCA is not just something you read in a book, Nigeria is FUCA. You wake up one day and we have occupied the street actually. All of us have occupied the street because something has happened to petrol. Or you start the year with a certain exchange rate, and actually right now, for those of us or those of you that have kids abroad, you know what I'm talking about. You start the year by budgeting a certain amount of your salary, and before you know what's happening, sorry, stuff has happened. So Nigeria is FUCA, and this is just telling you, I work for an organization that sells, and every now and then, recently we created a WhatsApp group for our salesmen. Every now and then you hear things like a bomb has gone off here, and another bomb has gone off here. And the question we are asking is not whether bomb is going off. The question is actually around, have you counted our staff and is everybody safe? So Nigeria is FUCA. And like I said earlier, very quickly, I want to see how prepared we are, and we need to do this very, very sharply. This is group 1 and this is group 2, and we'll quickly go through this now. Can you try and open? Yes. So I call it Let's Play Nigeria. Can you try and open that file? You have to escape and open. So the rule is, if you want to answer for your group, you have to raise your hand. If you talk without being asked to talk, you actually lose a man. Is it coming up? Okay. So again, if you want to answer the question, you raise your hand. If you answer the question without being asked to answer the question, then actually you lose for your group. Again, this is which group? And? Good. Okay, let's go. Wait, I want to see whether I can do this myself. I still can't. Wait. Okay. Oh! It's okay. There's always the answer to the first question. Maybe I should give this group. Nigeria's own revenue has dropped by what percentage? You cannot talk. You cannot talk unless you have to talk. Oh, okay, correct answer. Okay, so I'm still going to ask this group the question, what's the implication for business? What's the implication for business? Very quickly. Revenue has dropped. Who is answering? I have one answer. What's the implication for business? Because knowing the answer means what? What's the implication?
Revenue has dropped. That's because the purchasing power of the individuals, of consumers.
So how does that affect it then?
Profitability is really
How does that affect business? How does that affect business? Revenue has dropped. If you combine it with the fact that people have not been paid.
The major supporter of foreign exchange has dropped, and of course, it has affected the world.
So I think where I'm going is this: if you are selling stuff, people don't have money to buy your stuff. They don't have enough money. Can we go to the next question? So to me, I think each question has about 3 responses. Once you've gone, then go. Okay, next question. I'll give this group. You can give us the options. 1, 2, 3. 1 more. That's all. Cool. So according to the National Bureau of Statistics, what percentage did the oil sector contribute to the real GDP by quarter 1? This group. Anybody? And we had that man here just now. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
We had the order at the top here just now.
8%.
8%? Group 2, are you happy with that? I give you one more. By the way, your latest answer is your final answer. So are you happy with that? Okay. Can we see the answer? Tominiyi. Sorry. So again, tying back to the first question. If it is contributing so much and revenue has dropped, imagine what has happened to the Nigerian populace. Let's go to the third question. In the last decade, which one of the following non-oil sectors has attracted the highest foreign direct investment inflows? Let's have the option. For your group, you raise the hand. Someone that hasn't spoken. The lady in purple. No. In fact, we won't take any other answer. She said agriculture. Let's try this group. Is that your final answer? Oh. Okay. I'm biased towards women. Sorry. Hey! Is that your final answer? That's okay. You can't answer anymore. Can we have the answer, please? Wait, a regular cappuccino, like coffee, which costs $2.54 in US, is about how much in Naira? I think it's your, let's have the options. I think it's your question now. I'm not taking count, so someone needs to tell us. Very quickly, anybody wants to try? No, let's give it to a man this time. Let's give it to a man. No. Okay, they said it's okay for the woman to answer for them. It's fine. Sorry? Okay. 500 naira. So this group said 500 naira. Can we see the answer? Tominiyi. You know what? The point is this, and let's not miss the point. The point is this. Things are actually more expensive to get here in Nigeria. Yes. You can't just take something and apply exchange rate and say, I'm going to get it in Nigeria like that. The cost of living in Nigeria, if you work with numbers, you work with the cost of living baskets and all that, cost of goods. Things are expensive in Nigeria, and therefore, I normally preach this message, that even though globally we say salary is not the first thing, but for the average Nigerian employee that has to build a road by himself, and has to paint his house, of course he has to do that by himself, and he has to buy his hole by himself. At the end of the day, his wife is going to ask him, Oga, what's up? If he doesn't do something about his salary. Okay. Between 1980 and 2015, exchange rate to the dollar has increased by what percentage? I love this question. Let's be careful. Anybody? So if you are going to try it, you're going to tell us what the exchange rate was in 1980. Because for you to tell me that you're not guessing. Sorry?
200%. In 1980, I think the exchange rate was $1 to 4 naira. $1 to 4 naira.
Okay, you know what? If you don't know, just give me a trend. What was the exchange rate in 1980? Yes, sir. It was actually much better than that. The naira was heavier than the dollar. So give us the answer. You see? 384%. That's how much depreciation has happened to our currency. Yes. I think we're winding down now. I'm not counting the scores. Next question. In what month in 2015 was the naira to dollar exchange rate highest? Now this one is simple. What? No, this is true. Someone? No, it's this school. Yeah, that's it. What was it then?
20 or so.
Official rate, guys. Official rate. Okay, give us the answer. It was in February. Official rate. So take it down and look it up. All these things are verifiable. Okay, go. Which sector got the lion's share of Nigeria's budget in 2014? Actually, I think this one has a tie based on the figures I have. Are you clear on security? Yes. You're actually clear on security. What percentage did the education get? You sure? Okay, on this one, I probably give you a bonus. Go. Because I think... I said it before it came up, it's fine. And I'm willing to go with the security answer, actually. I think, is that the last question? Okay, so what's the current inflation rate?
4%.
What's the current inflation rate? Give us the option, Tominiyi.
9.3.
Ah, well done. 9.3%. Okay. And then? Which sector contributed the highest percentage to our GDP in Q1? So telecoms, you said, attracted FDI. I'm just reminding you. Which sector contributed the highest percentage? I'm waiting for the answer. Huh? Are we good on telecom? It's not telecom. Yes, absolutely. Okay, is this the last one? Yeah, it will give you the bar, yes, just to show how much, yeah? Is it the last one? Okay, so which group won? Okay, let's give ourselves a round of applause. I think we tried. But bottom line is this, guys. Before we go, and Tominiyi is going to take over from me now, we thought it was just important for us to check how many of us actually keep ourselves in tune of what's happening in the business. Because there's no way you can drive relevant HR policies if you don't have that. Tominiyi.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this. I told you we are going to have conversations.
Yes,
okay. Now, the key takeaway for me from this last 10 minutes is what? The world and Nigeria has changed. Change is what? Constant. If you do not change, what happens to you? You lose track and you become like a dinosaur. You get extinct. And the organization does not see you as relevant in any way. So you must always, like Olu said, stay ahead of development. Know the indices, what drives the economy. Okay? Okay.
Yeah. So, seamlessly, we're talking about HR and the line. So we wanted to talk about what's our goal as HR, and then what's the line's goal. So basically, we are saying we and the lines, we are not enemies. We're actually pursuing the same objectives. But again, some people try to see it in a different way. Your vision, and then your mission, and then you're talking about your strategic enablers. And you're talking about the bottom of it, the foundation of it, you're talking about your values. And then HR is in charge of the people. In quotes, then the people work for the line. There's always that dichotomy. HR, we are in charge of the people. The line, the people work for me. So I'll give you one example. When I used to work for Shell, you needed to go through 3 levels of assessment. So it would be technical assessment. So if you're an HR person, you will go through technical assessment, which is about HR topics. Then you go through a behavioral assessment, which is about behavior. And then you go through a third one that is about headroom. So that's always about case study. You want to see how far can you go, what's your potential. For the line, as long as that person scores very well in technical and behavioral, they don't bloody care about that potential. I want that guy. That's the best geologist in the world. That's the best finance guy in Nigeria. I want him. For the organization, you say, sorry, you can't have him because he failed the potential part. And it's always that friction. Until today, that friction exists in all businesses. But we're trying to help us change our mindset and share with you 1 or 2 examples. That the line is not the competition, we're actually supposed to be partners. I'll give you one example. A lot of HR people are used to negotiation with unions.
Yeah.
How how will it feel if your CEO tells you this year's negotiation, 1 month before the negotiation, you need to sit down with the finance director and the operations director and agree how you're going to negotiate? How would you feel as an HR person? You've been doing negotiation all your just by HR. You know the books. You know appendix A and B and C and what it means. You have all the persuasion skills. You understand even the union leaders. You know the kingmakers. So it's your tough. And you've done it for 20 years, 30 years. All of a sudden, CEO says, let's do it a different way. Sit down with the finance guys. Sit down with the operations guys. 1 month ahead and agree. Look at the financials. Look at how you perform in the past. Look at the projection for the next 5 years. And then based on that, come up with a mandate for the negotiation. How would you feel?
You feel more empowered.
He's telling you what to do.
More empowered. No, based on facts.
So I hear one comment says, I will feel more empowered. Okay, I'm hearing no. So how would you feel?
I feel this CEO is more focused. He knows the right thing to do. Then I'm getting irrelevant. I'm not thinking anymore. That's what it means for me.
Great. Another comment? Any other person?
Yeah, I will feel.
Can I use
somebody?
the mic?
Hello?
She's working with you.
All right. I would think somebody is taking my job. That's the way I was doing it.
So she will
if I'm not there, the job will still be.
She will feel somebody is taking her job. The gentleman over there, that's the last point. The gentleman at the back.
Yes, we've been doing it for like 15, 20 years, doing the same thing. This year, the CEO wants you to speak with operations and speak with financials. In other words, you are being asked not to do the same thing you've been doing all along. Get more knowledge so that you can do it in another way. He's not approaching into my job. I will still do the negotiation, but I am getting more informed. I am getting more empowered so that if I'm talking, if we are getting to the borderline, I have the financial solution at the back of my head. So I will know when to give it a break and when to move. Thank you.
Thank you. So that example is a life example. And it happened to who? Me. And I have 23 years experience in HR. And over my life, I've worked for 8 organizations in 22 years. That's a weakness on one part. There's also a strength on some other part. And then all of a sudden, the CEO says, no, Tommy, sit down with the finance director, your colleague, sit down with the operations director, your colleague. Finance director, because she's charge of financial, she knows our projection for the next 5 years. She knows what we're saying, we're going to make the next year. Operations director, because he owns 70% of the workforce. So we sit down together, open, and I realized, and I'm wishing that I can come back behind the clock. Because if you remember what we do as HR, we go check what happened 2 years ago in the negotiation.
Yeah.
What did we give on housing? What did they give on transport? What did they give on this and that and that and that? What's the inflation rate? And then, okay, we can do this. And okay, this is the mandate. Oh, you start with 1%. You're still going to 10. And then all of a sudden, from the financials, you're seeing, apart from the risks, apart from the strategy, apart from the vision, you're also seeing next year we plan to do only 2% increase because of XYZ. Year after that, we expect that, for example, last year we said this year, the first half of the year is going to be very slow. And that even up to the third quarter of the year is going to be very slow. So we don't expect much. That moderated all that perception. Fine. On one part, you are soft. You're thinking, these guys, if this is the tradition, you can never give less than this, less than that, less than that. But you are confronted with the business reality, and you are convinced. And what that forces you to do is you go back and start meeting the kingmakers and the key guys in the union and say, guys, it's not only that, this is a business. We've always done XYZ more than the others. We are the top multinational. After Nigeria deals and this and that, we are the ones. I understand. It's changing. There are small boys and girls who are taking our market share. Show them all the market share. How you losing market share in Lagos? How you losing market share in the Northeast because of Boko Haram, blah, blah, blah. It's hard. They don't want to accept. Actually, sometimes they want to accept. But they know that their members will never listen. So they are afraid of that pressure. They say, that's why you're a leader. They will say you have bribed us. That's why you're the leader. When you are contesting, you should have thought about that. But at the end of the day, that partnership with the line is so important. Actually, the finance guys should be our partners. Yeah. We should actually be working together in one workstation. Unfortunately, the way we see them, majority of us, is the way they see us. We need HR people who are going to stand up and say, my competition is outside the organization, not inside. We need to partner together. So in achieving, at the end of the day, the business wants to have improved processes and performance and productivity. They want to get profit. Otherwise, we are all out of business. So we are actually on the same line. And any HR person who is playing with the line and is not focused on the business will always have that challenge. That's the bit I wanted to bring down again. And you can try it. When you get back, because this is a clinic, and maybe some of you who have been doing it already can share also. When you get back, I actually told the finance director this year, I said, one of my goals for this year is to meet you every month for a one-on-one discussion, minimum 30 minutes, and it could be longer. And we'll just go through the books. Different, we need to understand them. So, one line manager, for example, like the track that I put there, because with the guy who always wants speed. Quality is second. And I have colleagues like that. So when they rate their staff or they're discussing talents and they're doing potential, you hear one of my colleagues was, the director says, this one is my successor. Why? Tells you all the good things. Then you keep asking why, and you keep drilling down why. Because that person is the one that matches it with you. You want something tomorrow, the person gives it to you tomorrow. You want it now, the person gives it to you now. Regardless of the fact that when he then reviews it, he actually needs to go back and work on it. So I will not deal with that if I'm the HRPP or the head of HR. I will not deal with that guy the same way I will deal with the guy who always goes with a magnifying glass. That guy is attention to details. So if you present to him any data on his population or population, and there's one error, it's already ticked off. I have a colleague like that. I used to work with the CEO like that. He's a numbers guy, very great guy. The moment you put a table on his screen, he doesn't need to go through everything. They go through the first one and then go through the total. He will always tell you there's something wrong with this one. It's the way it's wired. And unfortunately, this is not an abuse. Fortunately, a lot of us in HR are numbers lads. And it's the truth. See, the way you are wired is to be alive. If it's my weakness, it's my weakness. I want to work on it. And sometimes, like some people say, part of the country I come from, I don't let them down when you're married. I look for somebody else who has that strength to help me. That's what happened. But the guy, the line manager who is always using magnifying glass, pays attention. Is different from the guy who wants to. And you can guess, for example, who amongst your population, the line, will be the one with magnifying glass? Finance and accounts. Who will be the ones that want speed? Sales, marketing. Again, personally, there are some managers, they always have a gate. The light bulb stops every time, and they are wondering, why can't HR help me? Everything pops up. And he's wondering, this HRBP, the HRBP wants to follow process and procedure. There was a feedback one time, one of the directors came and said, you guys asked me to confirm this guy. But I just did a half-year evaluation. It was all perfect. Why can't you use that? Why must you give me another form to fill? And the thing that came out from one of my guys was, that's the process of to do it. and truly, it is because in Nigeria, I mean, you are required to place people on position to confirm them. Does it say that you must use a different thing here? Challenging us. Again, there are guys who want to grow talent. So it's not most anyone to training. I got a request on Monday. When I followed the trail of the email, the lady wrote the mail on Friday. The manager saw it on Saturday and then sent it to me on Monday for a program that was starting that Monday. And the way it started was create initiative from this person. This is self-initiative. Look for the thing I want to go for. This is the best thing I will need to do. And it's an expert. The one I pray about is being nice to grow as well. So some of the times people are jealous of the position. Like, oh, only these people are. I was saying, we need to balance it. So I wrote him a nice book and I said, oh, fantastic. I love the self-initiative. However, it's coming too late in the day. Written on a Friday, reviewed on a Saturday, for a course on a Monday. This is not the way we want to do this. And the reason why they are involving me is so that I can cover it from the NRD budget. So she will go and then I will go. And I said, great initiative, too late in the day. But it's still okay. I'm sure you have somebody in your AMP budget to cover it. So stop. And then he came back and said, oh, I forgot. Then again, I've already copied and pasted the Learning and Development Plan for the year, the one that pertains to them. And I said, by the way, it's also not in the other project. That you want to work with. So if I'm the HR lead, I want to pay that person up front. And again, what is the return? What will change when you come? So basically what this is about, line managers are different. First and foremost, we need to understand them. And then don't use one approach for technical development. It needs to be differentiated in a way. Also, the company knew they grow old and they grow. As they grow old in the organization, sometimes the way they see things change. Even as we also change our views, sometimes our perceptions, sometimes we need to follow all of that when we're dealing with them. But these guys, for me, they are not enemies, they are friends, they are partners. Sorry? Yeah. So that one is always looking for one thing to create, either to create a problem or to solve a problem that is not concerning the man. So then you know that also it's like anticipating them. And sometimes they like to ask difficult questions. Or they create a problem so that because they already have a solution somewhere. Yeah? So basically, we say line managers want result. And what do they want? Go on. They want result. Then sometimes they also want some other things. There's one beautiful thing in this slide. I saw something about, oh, line managers like good news. So sometimes you finish your assessment and then you're talking about people to select. I think the first two candidates are great. I like the second one. It's not about life. But if you don't engage the person to understand, I've seen line managers who want to play these people who are not very competent. Especially in global businesses in Nigerian organizations. And unfortunately, the HR people are not challenged because there's no job, so you can't resign. You can take it. But I think it's thinking this scenario. Because what happens when you take somebody that is not competent? You will end up doing the job. If you end up doing the job, there will be no space for you to move on to because you will not be able to do strategic things. And if you're a global organization, it means that you will not be on the talent radar for any next group globally or in the region. So sometimes they will forget that. So we need to remind them that the consequence of your action, like President Buhari said, don't fear me, fear the consequences of your action. The consequence of your action is that at some point, you will end up doing that person's job. Which means, because you are not a foreman, which means that you will not do your own job well. When you don't do your own job well, you come across to your own line manager as an average or below average person. So they want qualifications, they want whatever. And they don't give up. Meanwhile, one thing that I want to play a video. You know why I want to play that video? I read one magazine, one HR magazine around the problem with HR. Are we all HR people? So that I don't watch and get anything in the problem. If you're not an HR person, please go out now or forever remain silent. One of the issues they pick with HR people, we love to speak to ourselves. So we're talking about HR and the line to achieve results, and who is talking? HR person. To whom? HR person. So So when are we going to hear from the line? So we put a video there. There's a gentleman that I asked him to be interviewed. He's the operations director of Black World. But he's worked in 3 multinationals in Unilever and also Coca-Cola. And he's worked in South Africa and Europe. So when I feedback about HR, not about this, 25 years experience. Supply chain, operation, distribution, production, as an engineer, first class engineer. Great. So, and he resonates with people like myself because he's worked in 11, he's now working with me. And if you are in Coke, he's worked in your organization. So it's gone across. So
Tominiyi, so I'm not sure it's a pleasant remembrance for me. Contributed to my attrition looking red for the year. Okay, so I wanted to leave you in addition to everything Tominiyi has said, and he said line managers are different. I disagree. I think line managers are the same. Because bottom line, they all want results, to be honest. What do they want? I'm not sure there's any finance director that wants to go and report a loss. I'm not sure there's any HR leader that also wants to report a red-looking scorecard. What I'm trying to say is this, the exact example that he shared, and we didn't talk about this before. Someone is due for confirmation, they've just done their media review, exactly what the person's leader said is what Tominiyi repeated. So in my mind, I'm thinking, they all think the same way, and at times, if you want to be objective as HR people, if you put yourself in their shoes, they're making sense. It's procedural, they're really making sense. Anyway, I wanted to leave us with 3 things. Is the video ready? I wanted to leave us with 3 things before we then, maybe we'll end with the video. The first one, and remember what the topic is really about, working with line managers to deliver business results. And I thought I would share, a schematic. So my first point is this. In any typical organization, how many MDs do you have? How many directors do you have? Just give me 5. Any other? 7? Let's say 10. So how many third level managers do you have? Just give me an example. 20, 50, 100, and then the last level, I'll purposely simplify the organization. So you've got, I'll say 100, let's look at big organizations. 100 third level managers, and then the last level, let's say you've got 500. In this chain of events, who will the 500 people, who will they be taking their cues from? Is it the one MD? Is it the 10 directors? It's the line manager. And therefore, my first theory as HR people, or my first message to us as HR colleagues, is the line manager, the front line manager, is a pocket of talent that we should focus on. A lot of times, we ignore that. We ignore that in terms of we don't give it the amount of focus and resource that it needs. Go back to the point where we said earlier, what every line manager is looking for is results. So that director that you're partnering really wants what? Results. The truth is, if you let that line manager see that by helping him take care of his people, his results will be better, what is he likely to do? He will be your party, he will be your partner. So what are the kinds of help that we can render to either the frontline person or even their bosses? I have a couple of questions. Yes, let's go. Which one is ready? The video. Okay, so now focusing on them, if you spend all your resources on the group at the back or the group in front, what is likely to happen is that this group in green will chase all the other people, by the way. For those of us that have resigned before, you have left one organization before, what happened there? Why did you leave? Anybody wants to share in a second? Why did you leave? Okay, what's the typical saying that people say? People leave line managers, no organizations. It's not 100%. I just lost somebody last week, and I'm clear it wasn't because of me she resigned. I'm so sure of myself. But what I'm saying is, usually people leave line managers, and therefore we do need to focus on this group of people. Please go next. So, some questions to ask. Who is going to set goals that are smart and inspiring? Who normally sets those goals? It's each.
Okay, it's good someone said HR. You are living in my forefather's age. Who should set the goals? Line manager. Who is going to inspire subordinates to do their work and do it well? Have you guys ever worked for someone that you actually didn't mind if they asked you to come and donate blood, you would have done it? What did they do to you? They just have a way of doing it. I tell you a small story. A couple of years ago, I was working in South Africa. Apparently, I was being called Margaret Thatcher and I didn't know it. Because what used to happen was, every 2 weeks, I was leading the team of Africa, and I had about 7 countries reporting to me. Every 2 weeks, we'll have a call. And on that call, I just go, yes, scorecard for the month, yes, and what is the result, yes. And I didn't know there was anything wrong with it. Then one day, my line manager flew in from UK to attend a meeting I had in Durban. And in that meeting, he could see people wanted to answer questions. I said, no, not now. There's a process we're following. When we get to that point, you answer. No, you can't. So when we finished that meeting, he then said to me, let's go and have your performance discussion. Because it wasn't planned, I started thinking, what did I do? So he took me, he said, no, let's go to a restaurant. So it was very untypical. We went to a Japanese restaurant. He ordered sushi. I couldn't order anything. So as he was throwing sushi into his mouth and enjoying it, he said, Tolu, if that's the way you live, one day you're going to look back and there'll be nobody behind you. That was the end of my performance appraisal. This happened to me in 2007. What do you think I did after that? They don't need to tell you. Nobody is going to come and tell you a second time, and he was not a man of many words. In fact, I did it to the extent that I got myself, I had a coach, I was looking for help everywhere. And before I left that job, things actually so turned around that now, to tell you how bad I was in my mind, when I then have a meeting, what I try to do is, I would have sent out the agenda, but on my own agenda, I will write, first of all, welcome everybody. Because guess what? If I don't write it, I won't do it. I'm not wired that way. So I will start by saying, how is everybody? It's a lie. I'm just looking at the time. How are you? How was the match? And what? Once it's 5 minutes, yes. What I noticed was people then opened up to me. They wanted to work with me. People shared their fertility issues with me. They shared marriage problems with me. Even when they wanted to resign, they told me. That's the kind of leadership that you want your line managers to have. Because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are going to inspire the herd of people that you saw. It's not HR. How many people are in HR? A lot of us are taking things upon ourselves that don't belong to us. Your job is to make sure that you have helped the line manager so that he can actually create many more of himself. You can't do it. So if you thought you were setting the goals, it's a lie. Who will walk the talk of the organization's ethics and values? Usually they say the line manager creates the climate for the people. If people see that their line manager takes people that come from his village, then they believe that is the culture of the organization, yes or no? Yes. You can't, the MD can't come and be talking and they believe him. They know what their line manager did yesterday, yes. So I just said asking a couple of questions will help you agree with yourself, if you're still a bit far, that the line manager is critical, and therefore, the first place to focus on when you want to help your line manager deliver business results is to ask him who are the people in his team that are frontline managers, and then you zoom in on them. You zoom in on them, you find the talents, the ones that have just taken new jobs that need coaching, the ones that need to be trained, the ones that need to be put on performance improvement because they're not working. The line manager will want to work with you, no doubt about that. Yes, please. So this is shocking. In a survey that was done, 77% agree actually that line managers matter, but guess what? 33% say they have competence, they have the competence they need to do their job. And actually 12% then say actually the organization invests well. So even though we agree they matter, it is true that actually we're not doing what we should be doing. So my first lesson is actually that, just go, yes, stand here. My first lesson is actually that the line managers matter. And therefore, in you wanting to deliver results with the people that you partner, zoom in on frontline managers. If you can cook them to an extent that their subordinates want to work for them, then actually you have a big win. Real partnership says, and I think Amina said this earlier today, we are working towards the same goal. Tominiyi also said it. I just happen to have HR skills to help us get there. That's what real partnership is. Real partnership does not go with, I have a policy to sell. Because guess what? If that policy does not talk to what is the business issue, it's a nonsense policy. Yes, please. I'm going to skip this. So the first thing is line managers matter. I'll read this quote out. If employees' relationship with their managers is fractured, no amount of perks will persuade the employees to perform at top levels. In fact, no amount of perks will persuade them to stay. Haven't you seen situations where you increase people's salary and they go? In fact, they use that letter as negotiation for the next job. So as long as they can see that this line manager is not helping me to work, I'm just out of here. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I thought I should mention is a lot of us don't go to business leaders with "I can help you" mentality. And if you think about the fact that the line manager, the MD, the operations director, they are not stupid. The reason they have those jobs is because they're supposed to deliver results. If you go saying, "I want to help you deliver that result," not "I want to achieve my own result," it's low, we need to do party. What am I pushing? If I say engagement is low, we need to do party. I'm pushing an HR agenda now. If I say people are leaving, Oga, please talk to your directors to stop harassing people, what am I pushing? My scorecard is red. However, I listen to, and for those of us that don't know, TED Talks, YouTube has a lot of resources. You just type the issue and resources jump out at you. I listened to one last night. There was a video. It was a CEO talking, and he was actually lambasting HR. And he said, a lot of you guys, you don't speak the language. You just come and blow HR rubbish. And he said, let's turn it around. If people are leaving, and research actually says, to replace a middle-level manager, you probably would have expended 100% of their income. Because there's cost of turnover. There's a vacancy period. There's a period of the person coming in and you training them. There's recruitment cost. And guess what? It's a risk. It may not work. So it's 100%. So assuming you're instead of going to your MD with we've lost 10 people, you actually translate it into turnover costs. You multiply it by 10 million, 10 million, 10 million, 10 million. Okay? I want to let you know that this organization has now lost 200 billion. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to tell his secretary, postpone my meetings because I want to listen to this. And then the man said the next question on his mind was going to be, how can you help? So a lot of us need to be cracking our brains around, how can I shape, even if you start selfishly at first, even if at first it's not natural to you, how can you shape it in a way that the line manager sees that you have come to help him solve his problem, not push your own agenda. Now, making HR strategic is all about telling the business, how can I solve this? Can you really answer the question, what keeps my CEO up at night? When was the last time that you went with a blank sheet of paper? You don't have an HR issue. You don't have a training budget issue. You just want to say, okay, what's troubling? What is that thing on your mind? And the guy goes, yes, market share, and this and this. And you then go and translate it into solutions. He's going to listen to you because he's not stupid. He wants the results. Do you fully understand the issues to the extent that you can say, I can help you? So going back to the quiz that we had at the beginning, do you really understand the market forces, how they affect your business, and how that is translating into people's issues such that you can say you want to help? So that's my second thing I want to leave with you. Now, I want to stay here a little bit. Do you know how your business makes money? If you don't, go and check it out. Like Tominiyi said, sit down with the finance person, ask for the value chain. And in talking about the value chain, you see the opportunities you can actually bring out. I'll share a few examples. HR people, by the way, are right brain. So he said, HR, how are you going to cross over now? So even if you don't want the CEO's job, how are you going to have a conversation with the CEO? So we have to acquire skills that translate flowery stuff. They used to be flowery 10 years ago. Translate them into real naira and kobo, dollars and cents and all that the CEO wants to listen. Okay, so that's the second thing. You should go with the I can help you mentality, and you can only do that if you understand the business. Now, this one is the science of persuasion. I do want to really go home with this. I stumbled on this article. Last year, I was attending an HR leaders course. It has influenced me. I'm still on a journey, I must say. I start with a quote, no leader can succeed without mastering the art of persuasion. Usually in HR, what are the typical challenges we have? No. Influencing about what? Eh? What are you influencing them about? Eh? What are you influencing them about? A new policy. Yeah, that's our job now. That's where we sit. That's our forte. So you have seen something. How many of us have ever had a very good idea? You knew this was the right thing to do. You presented it to business. They pushed you aside. And 6 months down the line, actually, the whole country was doing it. And you felt like, I told you. How many of us have ever been in that situation? So a lot of times,
times you can see things, also because you are not so close to the numbers, you are far away a little bit, you can see things differently. But there's this issue of you can't convince people. Research says actually there's certain things you can do to ensure that when you bring your proposal, actually it sells through. And that's what I want to go through very quickly. So the first one talks about similarity. People like those who are like them. It is proven. I once saw this play line. I was taking my MD, he had just come into the country, to meet a senior person that didn't necessarily have anything, you know, there were issues, and I was hoping I could be a bridge and all that. So I was nervous for the meeting. So we met the guy, and before I knew what was happening, I became the third party. I thought I was the one that went to build the bridge. Because immediately my MD, and I hope this is not taped, it's not recorded, you won't hear me repeating his story. My MD started saying, yes, I understand you knew this family in the University of Ghana, and I became the third party. Then I discovered actually that that's what he does normally. He usually will not go and meet someone if he has not prepared in terms of what is the bridge I can create between me and this person. Because once I create that bridge, things are easier. So the question is, you have a proposal, you have an idea. Have you, over time, because the time to build these skills will not be when your policy is about to be sold, it is over time. Have you created enough bridges around such that actually when you then bring up an idea, people want to support? A lot of times, probably not. The second one is reciprocity, and as I say this, I remember something that was said in the room. It says, people repay in kind. In other words, and the example I have, you can click. The example I have talks about an NGO that started to not just say thank you, but they said thank you with something in the envelope. What do you think happened to the donation? It went up. Because as human beings, there's this thing in us, and I think it was Ugo that was saying it earlier, we actually want to repay something. So the question is, and in the article it talks about, it's not just about money. Money is actually the goodest form of it. But if what you're looking for is support, if what you're looking for is empowerment, if what you're looking for is for people to help carry your agenda, if you sit at the board, you must show that for other people. Because guess what, when it's your turn, whether we like it or not as human beings, in their mind, they feel that they owe you that. And usually they won't come to the table. The third one is about social proof. People follow the lead of similar others. A lot of times as sales and marketing people, if you can prove that someone, by the way, I sold it to your friend, one you went to school with in uni there, she really liked it. By the time you learn that, then the person is thinking, if you can buy it, maybe I can also buy it. Which is actually what sales people and marketers use all the time. I do have an example I thought I would share. Okay, so maybe what I can say is this. I have been faced with situations where you've taken a proposal, you knew it was going to be tough, and what did you do? You kind of segmented the leadership team, and you focused on certain people, right? You focused on them, you went to them with the proposal, you talked to them about it, maybe you couldn't go around. So when you get to the boardroom and you start to present, what are the likely things you will say that will get people interested in what you're saying? What's your name? So when I was building the data for this, I asked Ineka has a voice in that room. I already know she has a voice, but I have built her into my plan. So as I'm talking, she's nodding. What's your name? Then after Ineka, I went to Jumoke. Unfortunately, I couldn't go around. What's likely to happen is that people are going, I'm not going to be the first to say this one is not me. You've done the job. It took me a while to learn this. That actually meetings happen before the meeting. Correct. I have attended meetings where I got confused. What happened here? This proposal is very strong. Nobody's listening to me. They finished the meeting already. I remember once my MD was laughing at me. I was the only woman on the board. And I think we called a break. And we all went to the bathroom. So when he come back, he said, I pity you. I said, well, he said, in the boys' room, when we're doing the thing, the meetings are happening. So by the time they come out of the boys' room and you're wondering, okay, what happened here? I'm the only one that was left out of this. So you want to look for who is it that I can anchor this on. NGOs use it all the time. HR people willing to learn that out. You bring other people. In fact, if their colleague wants to oppose the thing, they think their colleague is opposing them, so they rise up. In fact, you could just like wait and watch what happens. You need to build that into your plan. Consistency, people align with clear commitments. If you can make people confirm or want to do something publicly and they write it, they're likely to want to do it. They're not likely to want you to see them as a liar. Now, I don't know how this works for politicians, because I know that people do make promises and at the end of the day they don't do it. Okay. Again, people defer to experts. Let the court come. Yes. Surprisingly, people mistakenly assume that others recognize and appreciate their experience. It's not true. You didn't write it on your head. The fact that you have an MBA and you have done 25 years, and actually this project you are presenting to the board, you've done it before. So, if you have expertise, you must find a way of making people know, not in a crass way. Because the other thing you can also do is hold down a director for the next 2 hours, you are telling him about your CV. That is crass. But if you can look for an opportunity to bring in things you have done before that pertain to this policy or this project you're trying to push, then you're likely to be able to do this better. So that's why, for example, when you want to push a point of view, you start with a quote from a famous person. A person is a person, but the fact that you have leaned on the expert actually makes your proposal want to sell more. Yes, the last one. Less of. The moment I heard this, I thought I would try it. Usually when you want, I'm wrapping up. Usually when you want training seats filled, because it's not external training, it's more difficult to fill internal training. So when I saw this, I thought I would try it. So you send out a training notice to the organization and you say, 5 more seats. Then they start rushing. So am I lying, am I not lying? If there are really 5 more seats, it's great. If not, then maybe I'm lying. But the truth is, how do you kind of create a sense of this is not common and it's not going to be available forever, so that people want to buy into your proposal as an HR person? Yeah? So I'm going to leave it on this note. The 3 things I wanted to leave you with, and because I like acronyms a lot, I think they help us as adults to learn. The first one is that line managers matter, and we need to zoom in on that. The second one is your business acumen should enable you to say, I can help you. You need to have that business acumen. And of course, the third one is around the science of persuasion. The fact that there are things that you can actually scientifically do that make people want to buy more into your agenda. Tominiyi. So we give me 2 minutes. I'm sorry, 2 minutes. I forgot this. Now let me share one example. A lot of times as HR people, we work and we're thinking more about the traditional roles of HR. Recruitment, hiring and all that. About 2 years ago, I'll just pick one example and really about working with line managers to achieve business results. I work for an organization that has a group of key distributors. And there was a real issue around, everybody has a route to market issue now, so that's not a secret. But the question we asked ourselves as HR people was, we say we have HR expertise. Can we actually take our HR expertise to the key distributors such that what we're doing for them is an HR audit of their systems to such an extent that they are better off as key distributors? So in terms of recruitment, what's the strategy? In terms of performance, what's the strategy? In terms of reward, what's the strategy? And we did all that. And we gave them scorecards. And we pushed things like you must have files, you must have leave, you must have medical. What has happened 1 year on or 18 months on is, usually for the staff of our KTS staff that usually would leave every 3 in 10, leaves every other time. Attrition was like in 30-something% for the whole year. As at the last count, our attrition was about 5%. Now, if you're looking for the value of HR, I think that's where HR can add value. It doesn't necessarily have to be within the organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we truly believe that we have experts here, right? Now, we're going to show the video. I understand it's about 5 minutes. Then we take questions thereafter.
But now HR is becoming more focused and more professional in supporting the business and identifying the right talent and providing the enabling working environment, and of course in growing the business. In fact, in some organizations we call it human capital because that's one of the things that people don't always realize when they're talking about assets. We talk about man, machine, equipment, sorry. Of course, man, which is the key part of it, is always not being taken into serious consideration, but which is actually the determinant of the business success of freedom. So I think HR is evolving, has more or less professionalized into that and developing that. One of the other areas is that HR has also evolved into becoming business partners across different functions. which help the function in identifying their potential and identifying key and core competence in running the operations. HR just not looking for hire and fire or recruitment, but they also get into more detailed professional areas like compensation and benefits and providing services also. So all these are involving more in HR. So if things are changing, it's not the way it used to be. What will I want HR to do more? I want HR, of course, not only looking more at the people, of course, getting more involved in the entire business operations and business sphere. HR needs to also be talking more in terms of financial terms and financial implications. They need to be talking more about technology. What is the evolving technology? Do we really need people? Do we need, is there any other options that we can do without people?
Some of it is, they say we lack confidence. But from what he said, and he's working in 3 multinational organizations, he's talked about a lot of positive things that HR people do. So we deserve a round of applause, because that's very good. So let's take that confidence back. But again, let's think about technology and where is it taking the world to, and how is it going to affect the place of work. Let's think about the new generation of people who are coming in and what's going to happen, like Andy said in the morning, around one size fits all benefits. There are still some challenges with changing some of them, I know. But we need to begin to think and say, what's the solution? And one of the things that Peru talked about was around doing meetings before meetings. Yesterday, I had to send a WhatsApp message to 3 directors, because yesterday was our management meeting. And one thing was going to come up, one topic was going to come up. I needed the support of 3 people out of 7, and I'm the 4th person, so there are 3 people on the other side to say, this topic is coming up at this meeting, I'm not going to be there. This is the perspective from which I see it, this is the perspective from which the expatriates see it. Guys, I need your support on this. And I got the response from people to say, Tommy, don't worry, we are with you on this one. And I got the other response. And today, I had a small, very short discussion on the phone. So we came up, this is what they said, but this is how we countered it. And now we are back to status quo. So, just like I said. So let's cut it short here. Let's talk about real issues from you guys. Are there real issues between the line and HR? Maybe we can take 2 or 3. I hand over to...
Thank you very much, Tommy. I already have some proactive HR professionals that are getting their questions. I'm going to take the 2 questions here. The first one is, what do you do if you discover that your line is overacting based on rumor? The second question is, where you have a line manager quite a critical role that is heading a division and does not have team spirit attitude with other managers in the divisions, how do you manage such a person?
Once in 2 years. The way it lies at night is that it comes back to you. For the whole organization, you can see this cost in different areas. And they also then do it according to departments. And then they compare the departments to each other. I had a particular line manager who she basically did not have the people manager skill. Technically, very sound. And saves us a lot of money. But dealing with her people, she was very wicked. So there is not, and we've been discussing that. There is always like, I do my job, I don't have time for it. Nigerians are always very emotional, they have those feelings, I don't have that. When the result came, we forced the line managers to share the result with their team themselves. Before, it would be HR sharing the result. You have to share them. The HR business partner will be there to give you support. So it got to a point, this person had to come and say, I'm not ready to share this. And why? So it's all red. It's all red. So the more reason why you have to share it. Okay, yeah, I need to do something about it. And it forced that person. I can tell you, since last year, the person has changed a lot. Not yet where we want the person to be. Now she has one-on-one meeting. Before, when people greet her, she doesn't even answer. Now, she's lengthy to say, in Nigeria, when people greet you, good morning, you answer good morning and you ask, how was your night? For her, it was a stupid question. I said, what do I have any business that have to do with your night? Then learning all of that. So that survey is very important. It really helps. Then again, even the engagement that you have with people, you need to show them one of my team members showed the management team some survey results, which shows that when engagement goes up, this happens, that happens, that happens. And then showed us a spot survey that she just did with 78 people in the organization, randomly. And it showed us the graph, where it was going. And then,
because I had built relationships, and that's not something I talked about earlier, in every single job you need to build your network, because at times our job is not a legal job. You know, in legal you can quote the law. Once you quote the law, people back off. In HR, you need networks. So he told me I couldn't hire the person because it was above the pay scale. On one phone call I called South Africa, a gentleman I had developed a relationship with, much senior to me. I called him, he was the head of HR for Africa, and I said, I need your help, and he said, done. You don't even need to apply, just go and do it. And that was how I got it sorted. I think the way this guy looked at me after that was different. If an HR person behaves in a way that you can be moved around anywhere and anyhow, then actually that's what people will do. Last week I had a call about somebody that was going to be sacked. I was called from the region. I said, give me a couple of days to reflect and to do my investigation. I investigated. There was no formal performance appraisal. There was nothing, there was nothing, there was nothing. I did a nice note. It took me 2 days too, because patience is one of the things I'm currently learning on my journey. So it took me 2 days to craft a note that could be forwarded anywhere. You know, once you type a note, it can end up anywhere. So you have to be careful. So I could tell that when they read the note, they're like, okay, now we will do it. And I forwarded it then to my subordinate after he replied me, thanks boss, this is the fair thing to do. Because what would have happened actually is that the person would have been sacked. So if you show yourself up as an HR person that can be pushed around, then people will actually run roughshod over you. Like Tominiyi said, we need the courage and the confidence, first of all, to know our onions. So that when you stand up to speak, you're standing on the content. You're not standing on the person that brought you. You're not standing on how you look. You're standing on the content, and therefore they take you serious. What was the first question? That was actually the one. How you can build a line manager thing. Yeah. So there are a couple of things in addition to what I've shared that I normally would ask my subordinates to do. The first one is I like to have contracting discussions with line managers. In other words, we enter a contract. So if I see that I've just been appointed to a role, I sit down to have a contracting conversation with the line manager. And in that contracting conversation, I'm asking questions like, how do you like to work? What do you like? Some people prefer PowerPoint to Excel, Excel to PowerPoint. Some people like to know things quickly. Don't wait to write me an email, send me WhatsApp, now. Once we get that clear, then I like to ask the question, what keeps you awake at night? What's troubling you, and how will you like yourself? Once you've done that, and the third one again is relationship. You cannot partner someone that you're not trying to be in relationship with. It's not going to work. You won't hear the kind of comment that Mumuni Sumonu said about his HR business partner 2 years ago. You want to be able to get into that space. Build a good relationship, find out what works for them, find out the way they want to work, and I think eventually you will get positive reaction from the line when you put your proposal in.
Speak to the one around managers who like to manage on rumors, because I've faced it a couple of times, and even not too long ago it happened. And I think we just need to agree some values. Agree to put all these many fish on the table. No. So one way you can stop that. Sometimes it happens a lot in the public sector. And I said I worked in 8 places in 22 years. One of that was I went to public sector deliberately when I left Shell. I was there for 3 years. When the person is giving the rumor, giving you all the thing, can you hold on a second? Tony, can you please come to the office? Please repeat what you just said. Wait, it's not the 100% of the solution. But if it's very endemic, you can practice that. But know for certain then that you may then lose out on very important information in the future. Because then people then don't want to talk to you. So you first need to really understand people. So if it's the kind of person who talk, so if I just join an organization now, I move to a new role, and people come at first, I will not go that way. I will take it as, okay, useful feedback, useful information. If that person then comes over, second time, third time, then I'll tell the person, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, so it's situational. But you can use that to really break that cycle of bullying if it's becoming rampant. If it's not that rampant, then be some valuable information about somebody like the mechanism, somebody who really wants to destroy the organization.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, we have a contract of time, and I've been told, in fact, I've been knocked several times. We've exceeded our contract of time. So I do sincerely apologize that I've got 6 questions that I may not be able to respond to. I do sincerely apologize. Now, let me make an effort to summarize maybe 2 or 3 takeaways for us. First, the organization is changing. It's changing, and the only thing constant is change, isn't it? We all need to work with that change, and we should not remain static. Otherwise, we will lose our relevance. The second key takeaway is we need to understand our business line managers. Both Tolu and Tominiyi said they are the same, they are different, and I think there are some discussions. And I tell you, the 2 answers are accurate. I support 2 business managers, an expatriate and a Nigerian, different characters, but in the end, they all want results, isn't it? The third takeaway for me is we have to always equip ourselves with understanding the business we're in. Let us not allow the line to think that we don't know what the business is all about. Let me share with you an example. Something happened to me yesterday morning. My flight was 1:30 out of Rio, so I didn't bother going to the office. I logged in the morning, 8 o'clock, to check my mails from the house, and I saw a mail from the maintenance manager. This expatriate has been detained by the immigration authorities. He was going offshore to do maintenance for one of our platforms. Copied to operations and everybody. I picked up the phone to call the immigration officer, and I was talking to them. I got it resolved, but while I was on the phone, my phone rang. When I finished the call, I checked the call. It was my director. I called him back. He said, "What's this about the immigration guy?" The MD had sent that note to him. I said, "No, it's been resolved already." The MD's note says, "By the way, I know what is handling, but just note, I'm losing 5,000 barrels per day of NGLs because of this." Just to show how important that is. Okay? Now, thank you very much to all of you for spending your time here. Don't go away yet. Tolu and Tommy will stay behind to take some of these questions that we're not able to address in this forum. So for those of you that are interested, you can stay behind. Now, in order for us to show appreciation to these 2 experts, I would like to invite one of the fellows of the Institute, Mr. Anthony Agiri, to present a token on behalf of the Institute, just to show appreciation to these 2 experts that kept us busy this past hour and a half.
If you flip through the conference brochure, you would have noted a few things that are common to both of them. First is that both of them are psychologists. Second is that both of them are industrial relations and personal management practitioners. Third is that both of them have worked in several places. Tommy said he worked in about 8 places, including my organization, Securities and Exchange Commission. So I think that beyond this place, I would suggest that they also leave their email addresses so that we can communicate with them. We can continue to stay here to listen to both of them because they have a lot to offer to us. I want to say that on behalf of the Institute. Well, Tommy, Chairman of Council, we present this to you as a token of our appreciation for giving us a wonderful lecture, and we hope that when you get back, you will show it. Thank you very much. I think there's an envelope there. Well, again, on behalf of the President and Chairman of Council, you've been with us, And I want to tell you that, you know, these two people are going places, and they will make the institute proud, and we are proud of them. So on behalf of the chairman and president of council, I present this to you. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Can we have your email address?
Thank you very much.
Are you?
Now, for the presentation, some of you wanted to know if we could have the presentations.
Yes.
We will pass them on to the organizing committee, and they will be distributed to all the participants. Yeah. Yeah.